All right, we're testing audio.
This is a test of our
This is
audio.
a test.
I had coffee, but it was decaffeinated. All right.
Decaffeinated. What does that sounds like something?
You gotta keep them separated.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what it sounds like. Love that song. Gotta keep them separated. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's go.
Dun, dun, dun. All right.
Eye of the tiger.
Wait, there's a difference.
All the pump songs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I think of the pumped up kicks where you're running away from bullets.
Oh, yeah. It's a deep song.
Yeah, but it's fun to sing.
It is fun to sing.
How many songs do you sing where the lyrics are just awful?
Most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So, hey, Jake, welcome back to By Its Cover.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Do you want to tell everybody what this podcast is about?
I did it last time.
Oh, okay. Hey, everyone. Welcome to By Its Cover, a podcast where we pick out books by their covers, read them,
Consume them.
and talk about them.
That's right.
I'm Katie,
I'm Jake.
and let's get into it. What's our first? What's our book? What is our book today?
Today's book, finally, after years of waiting, y'all, it's happened. The Future.
The Future.
By Naomi Alderman.
We finally got the author's name.
We finally got the author's name, but also Jake finally read it.
Woohoo!
I finished it last week.
I read this like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I think it was that long ago.
I think this episode 2 has like the highest level of anxiety for me because it's had so much anticipation of like I'm sure all of our listeners are like, "Oh, it's the future next week. I'm so excited about learning about that book." And then, you know, oh, Jake didn't read it.
Our many listeners.
Yeah, he's such a disappointment, right?
I somehow doubt that that's what's going on.
Our millions of listeners.
But hey, if you feel that way, email us at hostedbyitscover@gmail.com.
Tell me all the ways I've disappointed you.
He's sorry.
I'm not.
All right, so why did you pick this book, Jake?
I picked this book because of its cover, kind of. So this is actually pretty cool. I went to a book fair, like the old Scholastic book fair kind of deal with the erasers that are cool and like all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there were a few books, that were on display, facing you or whatever. And I picked up this book and I looked at it and I said, "Oh, that's a neat cover."
Yeah.
Kind of a basic cover. The cover is a white background, the word "the future."
I thought you said I'm kind of a basic cover, and so I was expecting I'm kind of a basic bitch. For some reason, that's what I heard.
I mean, I could have said that. So I'm kind of a basic cover, a white background.
Yes, that's amazing.
So this book has a white background, and it says "the future" on the front with gold and silver letters, and it's got a picture of a fox, which is the first thing that I saw, and then the author's name. If you look closely, and the one that I got is actually holographic, kind of, so like it shimmers. It's a fox and a rabbit in the same image.
Yeah.
Kind of like a ambergram, which is where the words are upside down and right side up, depending on which way you look at it. So you have like two words.
Yeah.
So ambergrams are cool. But anyway, kind of a really basic cover. And I asked the person that I was talking to that was running the book fair, "Is this book good?" They said, "Yes, this book is very good."
It was really good.
Right.
I agree with that.
I agree with it too.
Yeah.
This book was amazing. That's how I picked it out.
Cool. I thought you said that when you started the book, you had trouble with it.
I did.
The audio book, right?
Yeah, so I bought this book, was going to read it physically. Then summer happened, and I don't want to be inside during summer.
Yeah.
So I was outside during summer, which means no reading. Because you can't read outside. It's against the rules. So I picked up the borrowed the audiobook. And I had a hard time getting into this book because it's one of those books that introduces characters rapidly.
Oh, yeah.
Like first you're listening to this guy, and then it's this woman, and then it's this guy, and then it's this woman, and then it's this woman, and you're like, which character should I care about?
Right.
I really hope the entire book is not split between 7 characters.
Right.
Right? Because I can't handle it. I don't care about people that much. So, so it settled in on a couple of characters, and then I started to really into it.
I really, really liked, I did the audiobook. I really liked the like the very first chapter, I think it was the guy, I can't remember his name, Asshat, that was like all in his head about meditating or something, and he was so angry.
Yes.
And it was so funny.
This character. So let's tell a little bit about the book so you can understand what we're talking about.
Yep.
The book starts with a
billionaire.
It's an alert. They get an alert, like a bug out alert. It's time to bug out.
Yeah.
Get your bags. Everything is pre-planned. We're leaving, prepper style, but it's billionaire. So they have, the black limo pick them up or whatever. They've arranged transport for their kids and all that other junk, right?
Yeah.
And so
they've got bunkers and places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's 3 billionaires, really, that are preppers and have built a sort of cohesive alert system, right? Or they've all bought the same product, which is a cohesive alert system. And each of them, like most billionaires, are kind of weirdos. But they own all of the social media platforms.
Yeah.
And I think some medicine or pharma or something. Right?
I think so, yeah.
Kind of like the Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, those types of billionaires, right?
Yep.
And so when Katie's talking about Asshat, she's talking about this one guy, like obvious sociopath.
Yeah.
Probably on the spectrum. He just doesn't really care about anyone and he has anger issues. And when we find him, or we're introduced to the character, he is learning to calm the fuck down.
Yeah, like he was like, didn't he need to for work or something? Like,
yeah.
He was just so mean. It was so funny. Like, I'm like outside gardening at that time, and I'm listening to this guy in my headphones narrating this book, and it's just a bunch of like cuss words and anger and how much he hates people, and it was just like, I'm laughing outside listening to it.
Yep, he has to breathe through his navel, otherwise the board will fire him.
Right, there was all that, breathe through your navel.
Yep.
Like all the comments.
Yeah, because we were introduced to him during a guided meditation cycle.
Yes.
And that's when
he gets the notification.
His watch notifies him
Yeah.
that like, hey, it's time to bug out because the world is ending.
Yeah, the system is supposed to be able to predict when it's time to go based on the markets and everything going on in the world. And it's like, okay, the probability of the world ending is now, and you need to get your ass on a plane.
Yep.
Yeah, it was such an interesting concept, but it got better.
Mm-hmm.
So there were these, interspersed with these billionaires, were passages from one of the social media sites, kind of like Reddit. It felt to me like Reddit. And it was a site for preppers. And there were continual references to a people called the Enochites, who were like hardcore preppers, sort of. And there's one kind of character, I don't know, one user who would continually like chime in with lore or messages from the Enochites, which ended, like the Enochites kind of ended at some point. And so you're getting billionaires prepping, and then Enochite teachings and people's comments on those teachings. And then at some point in there you meet Laishan. And she's a social media figure who is kind of like persona who has made her living off of prepping and teaching people how to prep in videos and stuff.
She's a prepper influencer.
Yes, that's the word. Mm-hmm. And then she becomes really the main character for a while. One of the main characters that we're following.
Yes. What Katie described too is it's hard to articulate, I call it time dilation, because they're talking in past and present in different chapters, which is hard to summarize in a review like this.
Yeah.
And so what Katie's describing, or what you're describing, who am I talking to? Katie, what you're describing it's me, is definitely like, we meet these billionaires, they're evacuating, we don't know that it's predicted yet.
Right.
Then we're introduced to the forum website where the Enochites, which is a cultist group, who follow like almost a religion.
Yeah.
Like God is the end of days, blah, 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 blah. Reads the Bible as if it is a guide for how to survive the apocalypse, which is an interesting take on the Bible. And then we meet Laijan, who's this influencer, and it kind of sticks with Laijan for a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
So when is the first... Do we meet her first when she meets Martha, or when she's at the fair, or where was she? She's at a convention or something when she gets chased down.
We meet Laijan at the mall.
That's the
And
mall.
she's running away from, and we don't know who yet, but she's
Right.
running away from an Enokite.
Yeah.
Who's trying to kill her.
Which the Enochites were supposed to have ended.
The Enochites were a cult group that had a cult ending
Right.
event.
Yeah.
Right? You know, the Enoch, who's the founder of the Enochites, went mad and burned the building with them inside or something, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, they had a cult ending event. But we find out while she's being chased, they do, like, flashbacks, right?
Yeah.
And we find out that it is an Enokite that's chasing her. And we find out why is that because she said they were a bunch of crazy people.
Right.
And they got mad about it. And, you know, keyboard warriors turn into a woman was chasing her with a gun and trying to kill her, right?
Right.
But as this chasing is happening, I think most of the book actually happened, I'd say about half the book happened while she's being chased.
Yeah.
And she does flashbacks.
So many flashbacks, and like you're getting filled in on the story.
Yep.
While that's happening.
Yeah, and so during that scene, it's really cool. We flash back to Laijan at a conference, a prepper conference, where she meets Martha. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be just a boring interview. Turns out that they are hot for each other.
Yep.
And so the interview went cool, or hot. The interview went good. And so...
It was hot for them.
Yeah. And so that's when Laijan said, oh, aren't the Enochites a bunch of, like, weirdos or whatever? And then... Fast forward a little bit, like that night, Martha, who she's interviewing, they ended up being in the same hotel room and having a nice 3 days together in the hotel room, doing hotel stuff like room service. And
doing not smut.
Obviously not smut. But Martha, on the last day, Martha gives her a gift, and she doesn't know what the gift is.
Yeah.
Right. Then you fast forward to more progression in the chase scene, where Laijan is running away from this Enokite, and we discover that her watch is now telling her how to avoid getting killed. And it's sort of this aha moment. This billionaire, and Martha, by the way, we find out through flashbacks as well, Martha is the assistant to the CEO, Asshole.
Yeah.
And so she has access to all this, like, billions of dollars in technology. We find out that Martha installed Augur on Laijan's watch.
Yeah.
And Augur is that predictive software, right?
So the Augur is telling her, like, she's hiding in an AC, like, HVAC system, basically, in the unit, like, running through the pipes, or what do you call those?
Yep, running through the pipes.
Pipes, sure. Big square pipes.
Trunk lines.
And she ends up behind the unit, and it's some kind of refrigerant or something, and so the Augur instructs her to cut the line and spray that person with the refrigerant,
yeah,
or coolant, or
it's
whatever.
Like liquid nitrogen.
And it totally, like, dehydrates her and freezes her, basically.
Yeah, and she falls over and shatters. So this AI technology, all predictive, all knowing, knows her environments, knows everything about the mall that she's in, the tunnel that she's in, exactly her location within this place, right? Tells her exactly what line to cut and how to do it, and to cover her mouth for this many seconds after she shoots the liquid at the person, right? And it works.
Yeah.
And so at this point, the reader is convinced that Augur is all-knowing and predictive.
Yeah.
It can tell the future, or at least predict enough about the future to give conclusive results to suggest things for you to do.
So somewhere in the flashbacks, too, we get flashbacks from the billionaires. And there's like they all go and purchase Augur.
Yes.
Right? So it's just like super top secret. Laijan follows them and sees them go into the mountain or something. And then who's the lady, who's Badger's mom?
Okay, so...
Because Badger was an important character.
Well, who's Badger? So there's 3 CEOs of Megacorps.
Yep.
There's Asshole, Crazy Lady, and...
Other asshole.
Other asshole? We gotta have to... How do we call this other asshole?
What were their names?
We'll call him... Crazy Pants.
Okay, yeah, Crazy Pants.
Crazy Pants.
Crazy Pants is the one whose wife is Selma, right? Is it Selma?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because there's Selma, Badger, and Martha.
Okay.
I think that's right. Because he's gonna, at the beginning, he's like fucking his wife, Selma. I think her name was Selma. And then they were gonna, he's like, he hints that he knows that the end is coming, but I really thought at that point that it was like they're getting a divorce. At that moment. But whatever.
So many characters.
Yes, so many.
So let's introduce a couple of characters. So, what did I say? Crazy Lady?
Yeah, Crazy Lady.
Okay, so Crazy Lady has a son, or has a non-binary child called Badger. Badger is super smart technology-wise, is anti what their mom is doing to the world, because Badger, the world really, but Badger specifically knows that social media is influencing perception of the world, right? And is sending it in a direction where everyone is very negative towards everything, which is pretty much what's happening right now. Yeah. And then Crazy Pants guy, he owns some other social media platform, like competing something. Right?
Yeah.
So they all have a part to play in sort of social influence, mass sort of, what do you call that?
Mass influence.
No, it's called something, a hive mind. Right? Their systems control the hive mind. So Badger is definitely like anti-hive mind. And Crazy Pants' wife doesn't like Crazy Pants because Crazy Pants is always having sex with other women and everything. Yeah. Right? Like, just not a nice person. None of them are really nice people because they're billionaires. Anyway, go ahead. We introduce all the characters now.
Yeah. I'm excluding Taylor Swift from that.
Why?
Because Taylor Swift's not an asshole.
Is she a billionaire?
And she's a billionaire now, yeah.
Is she?
Yep, she's the first female billionaire.
I'll just wait. all we have to do is wait. And, we thought Elon Musk was super cool, then he became a billionaire.
I don't know.
We thought Jeff Bezos was cool, then he became a billionaire.
That's funny.
We thought that...
Mark Zuckerberg? I don't know.
We always knew about Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that owns the Microsoft, or used to?
Oh.
Bill Gates.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates has always been a super nerd. He's kind of divisive, though. Some people think he's like an asshole, and some people think that he's controlling the world with bots that you inject through the COVID vaccine. Yeah. Anyway,
moving on.
So Badger.
Did you want to... I guess at some point Badger and Martha and... I'm going to call her Selma. I don't think that's her name.
There was a fourth person, too. The old CEO of MedLife.
Oh, yeah, the guy.
Albert.
We'll
call him Albert.
Yeah, I think it's Albert or Alfred. I think it might be Albert.
Yeah.
So we find out that at some point Martha figured out... So Martha's the poster on the forum with all the Enokite.
Let's describe Martha a little bit more. This is like numbers in the Bible.
This is so...
So, Martha is the assistant to asshole CEO.
Yeah.
Martha is also the daughter of Enoch.
Yes.
Who is the leader of the cult Enochites. Right? And asshole CEO specifically hired Martha because her dad was an Enochite. Yeah. And I think where you're trying to go is Martha, Badger, Selma, and Albert all get together and decide that the world is going to end if they don't do something.
To stop the billionaires.
To stop the billionaires from ruining the world for money. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, I feel like I want to jump right to the ending, though. But there's a lot of lead up to this. So they're all in cahoots. And they've got the access to the auger thing. And they essentially... They know that these 3 billionaires that they're associated with, they're also billionaires. They know that they are prepped and ready to go to their super amazing underground bunkers that are going to save them and all that crap. And they're going to restart the world, and they've got all these big ideas about who's going to win, basically.
Who's going to lead the world.
Right.
Yes. One of these 3 billionaire CEOs,
is
all
going
of them
to-
each want to lead the new world.
Right. So they have access to Augur, and Augur doesn't actually work. So they
Bum, bum, bum.
bum, bum, bum. So they basically find out that they have told Augur to send these notifications to these 3 people, who then it like starts this whole thing of, okay, they're getting in their cars, they're going in the limos, they're going to the planes, they're going to their bunkers or whatever, and they know that, they're going to be okay. And so this whole time you think like something's ending, but you find out that really the world has gone on and nothing happened except these billionaires got this notification and went to their bunkers. And so they essentially disappeared. Like there was a plane crash and they never found their plane and da-da-da-da-da-da. So they are, I can't remember where exactly they are. It was some island or some desolate location. But Lai Zhen does not have contact with Martha really. And she has Augur on her device, and it disappears. And in the meantime, she's got a friend that she goes to who's like really good with tech, and they managed to reactivate it. So really, like Lai Zhen would have been just fine if she had just left it deactivated. But because she went, like she reactivated it, found one of the billionaires' bunkers, which, like just all a mess, a whole mess. Gets chased by like nanobots or something, and then she gets this notification that it's time to go, and she texts Martha, I think, and says like, is this for real or something? And Martha says yes. And so she gets onto a plane or wherever Augur's directing her to, and she ends up on the island with these 3 billionaires.
Yep.
And they all think that the world has ended.
Yep. And the billionaires all plan to go to their own private bunkers during the end of days. So we'll call them the 3 Musketeers.
Yeah. Okay.
And the 4 saviors, I'll call them, right? Which I bet if we do the numbers, something here is going to be biblical, right?
Probably.
Yeah. The 4 saviors, which is Martha, Badger, Selma, and Albert, crash their plane on purpose.
Yeah.
And in a way that they safely crash into a deserted island. Now, it still has the things that they need to survive for a very long time.
Because one of their bunkers is on that island. It's Assat's bunkers.
It's not a bunker. It's it is like a special emergency outpost.
Okay.
Yeah, because they don't live in a bunker. They live on the top.
Right.
It's in like a secluded part of wildlife reserve, right? So no human is allowed there, and if any humans go there, they'll be shot by nanobots.
Right.
So the 3 of them were supposed to just be isolated from the rest of the world. The 3 Musketeers are supposed to be isolated from the rest of the world, while the 4 saviors save the world without them getting in the way.
Like change the social media algorithms.
Correct.
Right.
Throughout this, though, 3 out of the 4 saviors recognize that there is a flaw in this plan and that there's communication devices on the island. That they can go and Google, like, what's happening to this virus that's killing everyone? And Google would say, what virus? Right. So they sort of loop in Lai Zhen accidentally, sort of like a happy coincidence.
Yeah, at first they're like, who the fuck are you and why are you here?
Exactly. But Lai Zhen, we found out, is a saboteur, an intentional saboteur. She's put on this island to go break communication devices, and no one really expects for the 3 Musketeers to kill each other.
Right.
But that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah.
The 3 Musketeers fight for what they see as the leader of the new world in their little island, right? All of them die except for one of them, and Lai Zhen, right?
Yeah.
And sort of like 3 years after they're on this island, asshole CEO is still alive, and he's picking walnuts, and he's super happy about it.
Right. He's thinking that he has he's outlasted the other 2, and he's going to lead the world. He just has to continue surviving, and he's super happy with that.
Yep. Eventually, people will migrate to this island, and they'll want to know how to survive there, and he will be the one that leads them. Right. Lai
He's
Zhen
now separated from Lai Zhen.
Correct, and Lai Zhen is hiding.
Right, because he tried to kill her.
Yeah. For 3 years, she hides.
Yeah.
And then Martha eventually doesn't know, actually, that she's on the island.
Right.
She was out of the picture there. Like the three other saviors did this because Martha was in love with Lijon, and they didn't want to tell Martha because Martha would say no to Lijon, all drama, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But Martha goes to the island and says,
our podcast hamster's out.
yeah. Martha goes to the island and says, hey, I didn't know you were here. It's been a hard 3 years for you.
Yeah.
Do you want to come back? And Lijon is like, yeah, I knew the whole time, and I knew you didn't know. So, yeah, let's go back.
It was such a great ending.
Yeah.
This whole thing, like, I did not see that twist coming.
Well, okay, let's talk about that really quick. I love this book.
Yeah.
But I don't like it when authors lie. So, and I think Naomi did a really good job at almost not lying.
Right.
Right? Because the perspective is Lijon, but Lijon is talking to you as a reader.
Yeah.
But you never know from Lijon that she is there with knowing what's going on.
Right.
She's saying, oh, how did I get here? What am I supposed to do here? Blah, 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 right? Really, she was in on it, but she didn't tell you as the reader.
Yeah.
And that feels like intentionally, like you were
Misleading.
surprised by the twist because the fourth wall, the character never told you.
Right.
Right. That was like sort of my only beef with the book, but I liked it. I liked the result of it.
Yeah.
I loved feeling that, oh, wow, oh, crap, the world's not ending and Lijon is in on it, and like, what?
Just even like when you find out that the world has ended for these billionaires, but even whether or not Lijon was in on it or not, like that first twist of like, oh, the world hasn't ended. That was so funny to me.
Yep.
It was great. And then the other twist, finding out that Lijon was in on it, was like, oh, okay, thank goodness, because I really was rooting for her and Martha. And then we found out, like, this whole time you think Martha just sent her to the island for 3 years. And I'm like, that's fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was a good twist that Lijon was
It was a really great twist. I also want to pivot a little bit to foxes versus rabbits.
Oh, yeah. So
Because
explain the cover.
I want to explain the cover because pretty much throughout the book you're learning about foxes and rabbits and like what does it matter, right?
Right.
So the teachings of Enoch were that there are two types of people. There's foxes and there's rabbits.
Yeah.
And it's told in a way that like fox and rabbit are real things, right? Like they're characters in a story, but ultimately it's sort of two groups of people.
Right.
You've got a group of hunters and gatherers, and you have a group of farmers. Rabbits want to stay where they are. They want to look at the goats, know they have 5 goats, even though one is sick, and know that, okay, in order to get through the winter, I'm going to have to eat 4 of those goats,
Right.
And hunters and gatherers want to just keep moving and eating, and they eat well. But you sort of find out that eventually the world moves away from fox to go to rabbit. And that was really the problem, was that too many people are rabbit. And there's no fox anymore.
Yeah.
Actually, they sort of mention that everyone wants to be rabbit because of alcohol. Way back thousands of years ago.
Right.
Something that you can't make on the go is alcohol.
Yeah.
You have to sort of be in one place for that. So obviously, we'll stop hunting and gathering and just get drunk.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Totally.
But this religion is sort of the foundation for sort of the epilogue of the book, too.
Yeah.
Which is where they talk about the world. There's no ending. There's only fighting for the future. And in the end, they talk about how really the world was saved. They were successful, the 4 saviors. They've replaced roads with electric infrastructure and shared cars. All the stuff that you see in the media is like, this is going to save the world. They do all that stuff. And they change public opinion using the tools that were previously turning public opinion negative.
Yeah.
They're turning it positive. But the end of the book is sort of a new character running away from something. And you learn that it's they have a communication that the new president of the United States is a closet Enochite and wants to kill everyone in the wildlife zones because they need to reunite all lands so that under one leader.
I forgot about the epilogue.
Yeah.
Yes. Now it's coming back.
You sort of learn that like Enochites or Enochitism plays a big role in the future, and I haven't quite processed what that means. As in, sure, United States is like 50% Christian and 50% other. Sort of that was, but it used to be 90% Christian. It was a rise of Christianity, right? It used to be mostly Jewish religion and other religions, and now it's mostly Christianity, right? And so the fall of Christianity, the rise of Enochitism, and what that means to the future, that type of deal.
Yeah.
So basically, the world is not something that you fix once. It's a constant fight to make sure that the human race can continue to exist and coexist with the planet and all of the species on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really cool book.
It was a super cool book.
So I think you had sent me a couple. So you sent me this book and The Way of Shadows at the same time. Mm-hmm. And you said, I'm reading these. And I said, okay, I'll read The Future. Which I'm so glad I didn't read The Way of Shadows, even though you wanted me to.
Shadow Ninja Killer. One of the hardest episodes we've ever recorded.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really, really liked this book. And I'm glad that you picked it. Anything else about this book that you want to share with the listeners?
I think you ask me a question all the time, and I want to ask that question of you.
Okay.
Who should read this book?
Everybody.
Okay, that's an easy answer.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really liked it. I thought it was a really, really funny, engaging way to talk about these things that are, happening in our world, in our lifetime.
Debatably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Earth is flat. Humans can't influence climate in any way. Coal rolling is the best way to transport. Like, everyone should go out and buy that F-550 and cut the pipes off and make it diesel somehow and throw coal in the engine and, burn out so that coal comes through the stacks that you've installed in the bed of your truck. That's obviously the best way to travel.
Yeah, I'm so glad I know that you're sarcastic.
Am I?
Yeah.
All right.
I know you better than that.
Do you?
Yes.
It's a mystery. Become a Patreon member at the $50,000 tier to find out if Jake's being sarcastic or not. You never know with me.
50,000 tier. I like how the tiers just get more and more expensive.
Well, honesty is expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Remember, honesty is the best policy, Jake.
And you have to pay for the truth, so pay me to be honest.
Otherwise, you can pay $5 a month for your laughs.
All right, Katie, what is the next book that we're going to be talking about? Okay,
the next book is called The House Where Death Lives. And let me pull it up here because I want to make sure I get the author right. Alex Brown.
Cool.
Alex Brown. And, yeah. See you next time on Bias Cover.
Bye.
Bye.